Hello, dear friends, family, and neighbors. It's your neighborhood friendly Dara here for Dear Hallmark. And you just entered my space where I invite y'all and we chit chat, talk about all things Hallmark Channel. Now, you guys, normally I'm sitting up here talking to you about these movies by myself. But I am not by myself today, you guys. I am joined by a producer of my mouth is already watering because of the title of this movie, which is a shame. But he's a producer of Double Scoop. Please welcome into the home of Dear Hallmark, Miss Biran Nolan. How are you doing, Brian?
Hey, Dara, I'm great. I'm really great. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, first of all. And then, second of all, I want to know to kind of get the juices flowing. If you could live in any TV world, what world would you live in? Would it be like the Yellowstone world, like the Friends world? Like, if you could live in the world of a TV show, what TV show would you choose?
That's a great question. And I think about that too. Like I always think about I love this world. Probably Stranger
Mhm.
Things because I love that's my favorite show, and I love like the '80s aesthetic within that world. I mean, I wouldn't want my life to be as dramatic, but maybe in the world of Stranger Things, probably.
Do you watch, like when you watch Stranger Things, because of being a producer, are you able to take your producer hat off when you watch it and just kind of enjoy it? Or do you find yourself like pinpointing certain things
For the
as you watch?
most part, yeah, I can. Sometimes my parents, when I'm watching stuff with my parents, they'll, uh, I'll be like, oh, well, this scene must have cost a lot. Oh gosh, look at all these extras. Look at this. Look at this. What period? What year was this? Oh God, look at this period. So this is so expensive. And they'll tell me like, okay, we get it, we get it. You know what you're talking about. So yeah, I mean, I think I've gotten good like for the most part, but
Hmm.
sometimes you see stuff like Stranger Things or Marvelous Miss Maisel is another example too, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's so much powerful cinema going on like
Hmm.
on the TV and like these elaborate setups and scenes that are just
Mm.
so visually like spectacular that you're just like I can't help but think I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a budget to do that on a Hallmark
Mm.
or every movie. So
Yeah.
it's
Was there a movie or a TV show that you felt like you like kind of gave you that feeling as you were growing up that you were just kind of captivated by the world of it?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, movies. I've always been like so into movies
Yeah.
since I was a kid. Uh, for mostly like since I was like 10 or 11, like thrillers. I got really into Alfred Hitchcock movies,
Oh
and like
wow.
and then like I loved the I love the element of the thriller, but I also love the element of the romantic comedy,
What a
which I
balance.
feel is like right, and like I feel like that's a genre that will never go away and it always evolves
Mm.
into something new.
Yeah.
And if you look back to like I think so many comfort movies like from like the '80s and like the '90s are so like are romantic comedies.
What
And
would you, I'm sorry.
oh, you're fine.
What would you say is the new evolution of the rom-com today? Like if you were to kind of summarize it.
It's that's an interesting question. There's so many things are different now and things
Mm-hmm.
that are keep evolving and people are always asking like what's next for the business? What's next in this industry and what's next for a lot of things. And it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's hard to say, but I think I mean it seems to me anyway that the romantic comedy really thrives on streaming or on television.
Mm.
I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's really where. But I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but it seems like, we're gonna go to the theater for the big action movies,
You can have the
the
big
big,
screen.
right, for the event movie, is what
Mm-hmm.
we're going for. But if you look at the numbers, like for people that are watching romantic comedies on television, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge compared to what it would be if it had been in the theater. So, I mean, I like to think it's gonna movies will the movie theaters will never go away, but
Sure.
I think now in this point in time, romantic comedies seem to be, huge on television.
I can speak to that and that I distinctly remember in 2018 18, 17, probably 18, I was tired from work and needed an escape. And I found a Hallmark. It was a winter Hallmark movie, and it was in October. And winter is like my favorite holiday. And
Yeah.
I thought, I was like, I know that I'm going to get all the winter feels because I think it's called Love on the Slopes, I think it's called. And it took place at like a ski lodge. So it had the snow. You saw the frost coming out of their mouth, like the warm breath coming out of their
Right, right,
mouth.
right.
And I like having that access to it where I could just rent. At the time, I didn't have like a streamer or anything. So I was renting or buying all my movies on Amazon and then watching them. And I think having that easy access to it through, I mean, streaming, like, who would have thought? Like, streaming just like
Right.
blowing up the way it is and it's continued to do. But I think having that access to such a comfort and an escape, I'm wondering if that's something that adds to the success of of the rom
Oh
com
yeah.
genre within streaming. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you can like put it on, and like and I know specifically like from my own family and then other people I know, they put on the Hallmark Channel even if they're not watching it, like they have it on the background. And what's really cool to see over, because I think the first Hallmark movie I did was in 2014. It was Christmas Under Wraps
Yes,
with Candace Cameron, and
yes.
that was our first Hallmark movie ever for Hybrid, the production company I work for. And like that's become like a classic. And like, and when you talk to like, because they play it every year over and over, and when you talk to people, like, oh, which movie did you work on? Oh, I did that movie and this movie that has this, and people are like, oh my God, yeah, I love that one. I see it. It's become a part of people's like traditions and culture and their Christmases, which is like so cool to think, you know? Because I
Yeah.
mean, when I'm living in the production, it's like I'm living in like the stress of it almost like 90% of the time, and then but to see it like kind of like live on with people for years is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about it.
So talk a little bit about how you actually translated your love of film into now working in a production capacity. Like, what was that journey like for you?
Well, God, and I feel like I always tell people I've had so many different lives, in this business. I went to college for theater, for musical theater, believe it or not, University of Central Florida, and I graduated from there, and I wanted to work in film and television, and I wanted to be like on sitcoms. I wanted to be like, I wanted to do that, and I did have some successes and some ups and some downs, and then about 13 years ago, I just started working in the production. I was looking for something a little bit different because when you're an actor, things like ebb and flow, like
Yeah.
there's ups, and there's downs, and there's lots of lows. And it's like, but I do know what I did know is I really love movies and television. I love the entertainment industry, and I can't imagine working in another industry. So I started working in the production office for it was a Christmas movie. It wasn't for Hallmark, but it was a Christmas TV movie, and I was the production coordinator on it. And it was just like such a great fit for me. Like it really, it was something I just felt like I was really good at. Like I was good at this. Even as an actor, sometimes it was hard for me to say, "Oh, I'm good," or I can I have to that's just probably just insecurity or whatever, self deprecation. But with producing, it felt like it was something I was really good at, with people, with actors, with crew. And I started as a production coordinator, and I just worked my way up, and I started line producing and UPMing, and gosh, I've worked on so many of these movies now that it's hard to like and it went by so quickly, and that was 13 years ago. And it blows me away. How fast time is, but like B, like how much, has happened in the last decade,
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, so that's what I've been producing. I work for Hybrid. We do a lot of we do romantic comedies, we do a lot of thrillers. We did a couple thrillers for Netflix, and we did The Merry Gentleman for Netflix last year with Chad Michael Murray, which was
Yes.
like my favorite experience ever. And so every year there's like something, every year I'm always like blown away by by the exciting things that happen, the opportunities and the new experiences that happen. So my life's been incredibly interesting. Never a dull moment for sure.
Random rapid fire question: thriller or
Yeah.
comedy? If you or thriller or rom com? If you had to pick which one you could produce for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Oh gosh, I hate to say it on this podcast, but thriller, like I mean, I think, but but you can say Hallmark has mysteries too, so movies and
I
mysteries.
would say
So
diet thrillers. That's like thriller
right,
adjacent. Yes, there's suspense.
and like good thrillers too. Like there's so much you can do without being
Hmm.
like excessively violent,
Yeah.
but you can make things like really effective. And I
Yeah.
feel like the best performances come out of that world too.
Mm.
Because it's like you people are ultimately fighting for some sort of justice or trying to
Mm.
solve some kind of mystery, and that brings out a lot of emotions of people.
Hmm.
And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why true crime is so popular because like you read these stories, but you most of the time there's a sense of justice,
Hmm.
with it that happens to the bad guy. We all want to see the bad guy go down, you
That's for
know.
sure. That's for sure.
So yeah, it's a long answer to your question, but yeah, I probably thrillers for the rest of my life would be cool.
So, what is it you love the most about movies, theater, acting, or like the entertainment industry in general? Like, what is it you love the most about it? Where you said earlier, like, you can't imagine yourself not being in the entertainment industry.
I think movies, are the greatest art form of the modern era, and what's wild to think about, it's an art form that's only been around for 100 years, and like literally what was I was reading, like Universal and all these companies started like 100 years ago in this silent film era. And it's wild to think about that it hasn't been that long, but yet it's this art form that affects everyone. And I love that it
Mm.
affects people and it
Hmm.
makes people feel certain things. And like, especially as you get older, it's like the nostalgia too. And that's probably one of the things why I
Yes.
like Stranger Things so much, because
Mm.
it's kind of like the best version of my childhood with and like Stephen King and Steven Spielberg, like all into one.
Yeah.
Um, I would say my favorite part is being a part of that, being a part of something that's going to live forever.
Ooh.
That's you know
Wow.
that's what
Yeah.
that it will live forever,
Yeah.
and I'm always uh that's where my mind always goes, but that's what I always think about, like this will live on forever, these are forever. And back when I was an actor, I didn't realize too, it's like you're on camera, that movie's around forever, so if you were terrible, it's you're terrible forever, but then hopefully over time, you get over it. But yeah, and I will say, like, one of the cooler things about what I do, and my dad always kind of said this to me, because the job can be very stressful sometimes. And,
Hmm.
I used to work with someone that every time she would get stressful, she'd be like, I'm just gonna go back to Ohio and be a greeter at Walmart, like, 'cause she was just like something simple, and I was like, oh, like, not for me, but at the same time, though, I can see myself being happy just greeting people all day. Hey, welcome to Walmart. Anyway,
Yeah.
good. My dad always reminds me when things get stressful. Excuse me, I just got over something. I
No, you're
apologize.
fine. You're fine.
Um, my dad always reminds me like how cool it is what I do and the people I get to work with,
Mm-hmm.
people that I've known who they are my entire life. And that's what I always think is like the coolest part about it. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
think like, oh gosh, I've known who this person was since I was 10,
Yes.
and I've loved this person since I was 10, or and now I get to work with them. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
neat.
It's funny. My greeting at Walmart is me going to some Italian countryside, being barefoot in a muumuu, making pasta from scratch. I'm like, that's
That sounds great too, let me tell
that's
you.
I think about that's my Roman Empire. Literally, like I'm in Italy, in somebody's countryside, making pasta from scratch. Oh my gosh! But also to what you were saying about like Stranger Things and the nostalgia. I look at it like a time capsule too. Like my sister and I, just the other day, literally like a couple of days ago, we were just going on this whole nostalgic trip because we grew up as like Disney and Nickelodeon kids. So we were just
Yeah.
reminiscing
Same.
over like all the shows like Smart Guy. And then we were also Discovery Kids. So like The Strange Days at Blake Halsey High or Endurance, which is like a kid version of Survivor, really. And just like I went down this whole rabbit hole on YouTube of like all of these shows I used to watch growing up, and I'm like you said, they live forever. And YouTube
Hmm.
is proof of that because I found
Hmm.
a show from 2001 that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know because it was only on for one season, and I didn't even know it was even able to be captured. You know what I'm saying? Like people can
Right.
still even find it. And so I think that that's so fascinating. And I talked about this with Jax, but I know as a consumer and a receiver of said movies, like I know for me, I just enjoy that you guys are able to kind of plunge us into this other world for 2 hours, and that for 2 hours I'm not on earth. Like no, my bills don't exist, you know, like nothing
Right.
else exists for those 2 hours, and I'm kind of honed in and zoned in on whatever my leading lady and my leading guy gotta argue about now, you know, like
Yeah, right, right.
I'm so appreciative for this art form to be able to do that in that way. But let's turn the magnifying glass on into the kind of the logistics in it, because you mentioned about how stressful it can be at times. Can you like as we break it down, can you first talk about the different types of producers that someone could find on any given movie set?
Yeah, absolutely. Because people, people are will always be like, "What does a producer do?" And usually, first and foremost, I say everything, but then
Yeah.
B, I say, and this is the best explanation I think for it. It's the person that takes the creative aspect of it and the business and financial aspect of it and makes it all work together. You know, I'm always trying to like, because my job, I've gotten so sometimes like lost in the managerial aspect of my job and the moving parts and making movie like
Yeah.
scheduling and having a budget and making certain goals and dates and that sometimes my creativity
Yeah.
can won't be as strong, but that's why you have a director and that's why you have a production designer and you have people there and you have writers to evolve that you know
Yeah.
um and every movie's different. I mean, we've done if we're talking about Hallmark, there's some that we've done that we've been developing for years. There's some that we develop and turn around really quickly. Um, in 2015, we had done two Hallmark movies back to back in Utah that I was the producer on, and like literally like in October, they needed one more movie that year. It was called Christmas Land with Nikki DeLoach and Luke
Yes.
McFarlane, and that
Yeah.
was it was both their first Hallmark movies, and they're both lovely people, by the way, and my favorites. I love them so much.
Yeah.
They like literally we started shooting it October 31st. We wrapped it on November 20th, and it aired December 19th on Hallmark. Yeah, it was yeah, and so that's something that's stressful. And that was an
Whoa.
anomaly too. Like, and we kind of put all the ducks in a row in place to kind of, you know, so to be able to hit that date. So we were all kind of Hallmark and us were all on this same kind of page where we had to kind of rush and get this done. And randomly it became one of like it was a great movie, turned out great, and then it was a huge hit for them too. Uh and so like when I say stress, some movies are so great and they're such easy experiences, and then other movies have their quirks.
You
So
don't have
sorry.
to mention the movie, but what's kind of like the most interesting quirk you had to deal with, specifically on the rom com side in the production of a movie that you can think
Oh,
of?
oh wow. Some of them might not be. It's not, inappropriate to talk about. But one day I'll do a memoir that will blow people's minds. Because I mean, some of it's just funny. Some of it's just really, really, really funny. Um, but and I'm trying to think of one that doesn't involve like, you know, a person, like a person that I have to name or whatever like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no.
You
Yeah.
know, uh, gosh, I mean, we've lost locations at the 11th hour, and had
Mm-hmm.
to find replacements because when you're shooting a movie, especially like a TV movie, these are
Mm-hmm.
limited budget films, so you can't,
Mm-hmm.
if you miss a day, you're missing a shoot day, you're,
Mm.
you know, you're kind of SOL, you gotta have to figure it out and make something work.
Yeah.
Um, you know, nothing. Oh, you know what? I can tell you. So, on one of our movies, it was a Hallmark movie. It was called Sister of the Bride.
Yeah.
We shot it in Palm Springs in 2019. Uh, Beautiful, like beautiful locations, and we lost, like literally like 3 or 4. We were supposed to shoot the main house was supposed to be it was the Frank Sinatra estate in Palm Springs,
Okay.
and there was some issues apparently with the, the permitting or something, which I can't speak too in depth on because I would never let anything like this normally happen, but I was not there. But when we lost that location, I went to Palm Springs right away, and literally me and my first AD and my UPM, Laura Lee, we literally spent 24 hours like straight, and we found an even better mansion estate in in La Quinta, which is right outside of Palm Springs, and it worked out for the best, and it made actually the movie look even better.
Mm.
The Sinatra State was beautiful, but it was kind of a little bland and outdated. And so this was actually just like this an upgrade. And it's there's no greater high, I always say, than putting out a production fire. And like and they happen, like that one, due to unfortunate circumstances, the permit got pulled and we couldn't shoot the estate. And we got it together. We knew we had X amount of days because it was like right before a weekend. And so we
Mm.
had the weekend plus another day, and we just kind of worked the schedule, worked it out with all the actors, worked it out with like all like the crew and the schedule and the other, and it was such a what started out as an awful terrifying moment was turned into something really wonderful.
I
So
love that. I
yeah,
love that. And even that it worked out better than what it
it
was
worked out
supposed to
better.
be originally. I think that's really, really cool.
And that's a
That's,
really pretty looking movie too, in terms of
yeah.
coloring. It's kind of like as you'll see, Double Scoop is kind of the same way. It's very vibrant, very summery, very vibrant.
I got that from even the key art for it that I saw and even the trailer. I'm like, oh, they're giving summer vibes for sure. Like the blues, the purples. It's very bright. Like I got that like instantly. But speaking of double scoop and locations, it's funny that like not even funny, but like why Birmingham? I'm very curious
Oh,
about how that happened to be your location for shooting this.
as unexciting as it sounds, I would say it was the film incentive.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so I mean that's unfortunately, I would say our company, Hybrid, the production company I work for, we kind of pride ourselves on shooting in the States. A lot of Hallmark movies are shot in Canada. Uh,
Right, right.
and so
Yeah.
we every one of our movies has been in the United States, whether it's been here in California. We did most of them in Utah.
Okay.
Uh, and then we did one called Broadcasting Christmas with Melissa Joan Hart and
Yes.
Connecticut in
Yes.
Connecticut. Yeah. And that one I really love that one too. That one was a great experience too. And then with Alabama, we have a producer we work with out there named Charles Berg, and he moved there from California, and he's kind of established like you know a good film community there, and the incentive there is great. And most things are qualified expenses. That's a term that you learn about nuts and bolts. The term qualified expenses is pretty much anything that you can take, like if it's 25% of this person's salary or 25% of this location fee, you get back essentially. So it's really beneficial for movies like this and movies of this size because you're able to get more bang for your buck. Like you're able to
Mm.
sometimes you have to spend more than you normally, but then you get that money back, or you're able to do more because you're able to get some of it back in some capacity. So so that's why Birmingham. And I will say, like it was the community there has been great, very nice, very like Southern hospitality, very
Yeah.
kind people. And I was born and raised in Florida,
So
so
you
I'm
already
not too far
know.
away.
Right. Right. What part of Florida?
Central Florida. I grew up outside
Cool.
of Orlando in a town called Lake Mary,
Okay.
Florida, and then I went to UCF, University of Central Florida.
Yeah, I have
And
family in
then,
Pensacola, so I was just
oh,
there over
yeah,
the 4th. Yeah, so that's
yeah.
cool. So, is there a state that you haven't filmed in yet? Like, if you had your dream tax incentive and like everything, was prepackaged and just presented to you on a silver platter, what state would you want to film in that you haven't filmed in yet?
Oh gosh, Hawaii would be really cool.
Oh, I know that's right. That's the obvious answer. I should have said except for Hawaii because that's the obvious answer. Yes, that makes so much sense. That
Yeah,
makes
well,
so much sense.
and this is the thing too. It's like you kind of have to like, and this is producing nuts and bolts here too. Like, you kind of have to go to a place that has like an established film community in some capacity.
Okay.
Because like you can't bring a lot of times these incentives too. You can't really. I would say like in a lot of our Utah films, like half of our crew was from Los Angeles.
Okay.
But in Birmingham, the majority of the crew is from there or
Okay.
Georgia nearby. Because otherwise you're bringing in people and the expense of it all becomes greater than you can pretty much afford.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to go to a place that has that already, and that always changes. Like Georgia and Atlanta, like they figured it out because that's
I was
become
gonna say they are
it,
booming.
they made it work and so fantastically there, and like so many things now, of course, shoot there. Because they keep adding to their incentive every year. That's what Hollywood wants. They want they want the money.
Yeah.
But they figured it out, and I would love to shoot. Be cool to shoot like because I grew up in the South. I live in LA. I'm really fond of like fall weather and
Yeah.
fall climates. It'd be
Yeah.
cool to shoot something in like peak fall, like up north, whether it's like in Montana or like even Connecticut. Peak fall was like
Ooh,
you know
New
because all these
England.
movies we always end up shooting them in the middle of summer somehow. So
You gotta literally get your Oscar and act like it's cold.
right, right. And like so many people, like you have all these. I always feel so bad for like the actors in the background, actors that are like wearing coats and parkas, and it's like 95 degrees in Utah,
Yes, the
and
dead of summer. Yeah.
like they're like, please no one, pass out from heat exhaustion or
Correct.
keel over. Like, so I'm always really big about safety when it comes to that too, because I just see
Yeah.
people overheat and parkas and jackets and stuff like that. I'm always conscious about water and air conditioning and everything.
Yeah. So with Double Scoop, can you talk a little bit about marrying that creative and logistical and technical in terms of what you saw Double Scoop being? And you mentioned it a little bit about the bright colors and things, but when it comes to like looking for where the restaurant scene was or looking for where to place certain things, like what about Double Scoop had you choose certain things, or where did your mind go for that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Peter Sullivan is our director of Double Scoop, and I think almost every Hallmark movie I've worked on, I've done with him. And he really gets the genre. He really gets um, the network. He gets, he's always, and I love because I feel like I can read his mind now a little bit. Like he loves like the small town comfy vibe.
Yeah.
And what's really great about shooting on the East Coast, especially, is that there's so many of these like quintessential like Americana uh like locations and main streets, and you'll see a couple of them in Double Scoop. Um, and so I know when, depending on what the script is, most times it's usually in a place like that, except for the ones that like take place in the big city or whatever. There are some scenes in this movie too that take place in the big city, but I think going to any wherever we're shooting at, in this case Birmingham or Double Scoop, we're trying to find that comfy small town vibe that really is like the backbone, spirit of so many of these stories. And
Hmm.
so we try to find that. And then there's like the logistical aspect of it, like this movie specifically, we were pretty much based out of Birmingham, but the majority of the movie takes place on a dairy farm.
Mm-hmm.
And but the movie itself actually takes place in Wisconsin. Sorry, I'm like thinking layers here. We're in Alabama, but the movie takes place in Wisconsin, and there's not a lot of dairy farms in Alabama.
Yeah.
There is some, but not what you would see in Wisconsin or up north.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we were based out of Birmingham for the most part, and we shot a lot of like there's half the movie takes place like in New York,
Yeah.
or part of it does, but the majority of the film takes place at this dairy farm,
Hmm.
and that was about 45 minutes outside of the city, so a lot of times you're trying to schedule these things and put these pieces together with that fit in your schedule, that where people aren't, excuse me, my gosh,
Hmm.
where you're trying to put these pieces together where people aren't driving an hour to get the set, or
Mm.
wherever the actors that are your actors that are traveling in town, where they're staying at, you have to worry about transportation, logistics. um and I want to say that's where your producer skills really come into play. I tell people it's
Hmm.
like you got to figure out where to put people up, where people to stay, where for them to eat, where and how they can eat,
Mm.
where to throw away their garbage, where they can go to the bathroom, where we can pick them up from. Like there's so many different things, and you got permits on top of it. Um, so that's kind of what, where my mind goes immediately. That's once we kind of figure out the creative look of this, is trying to make all these pieces work, um, for this movie specifically.
How much time before you start shooting do you have to figure all that out? Like once a an idea or a concept gets greenlit, like then does it go to you and then you got maybe like 2 3 weeks a month to get stuff in motion, and then while you're doing that they're casting people so that within a month y'all meet at a, like, can you talk through a little bit of like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that process?
With Hallmark, or most networks actually, you kind of go through a development process. Like
Okay.
we'll pitch the ideas to them, and you know they'll say, I want to do that, I like the story, I like that story, whatever. And then we usually have like a development period with the script.
Okay.
Sometimes that can go really quickly, sometimes it can take a long time. This double scoop actually was something we developed with them almost 5 years ago.
Oh
And then,
wow.
yeah, and then like it kind of drifted off, but then it came back again at the beginning of this year. Like it came back onto you know, and that kind of happens. So I mean, this is
Yeah.
literally a movie we came up with 5 years ago, and but has recently come back into everyone's peripheral vision, which is awesome. So that happens. We have a period where we develop the script, and then they greenlight it once they feel like the script is good. And like for this one, I think they greenlit it back in like, I think it was greenlit like in February, which is more than enough time to
Mm.
for us to make this movie, because it was a summer movie specifically. So you
Okay.
have that thinking in your head where like this has to come out during the summer. And so we were able to move pretty quickly. With this one, it was what slowed us down a little bit was that was was winter. Like so like if you're doing a movie for the summer, it's like, oh well, I gotta, we gotta shoot somewhere where there's no snow right now. There's leaves
Right.
on the tree and stuff, like leaves on the
Right.
trees and stuff like that. So
Right.
we held back once we figured out Alabama was kind of we got the incentive and this is where we were going to go and do it. We kind of just kind of tell we held off a little bit until spring, and then went into production right away, and
Okay.
in late March, and then we started shooting it in mid April.
Okay.
for 3 weeks going into the beginning of May. So yeah, you know, and it like that's the weather, developing it, um, where you're going to do this, all these little parts, and then it comes together somehow, which is remarkable, And we kind of have like an overall deal. Like when we start these productions, I'm big about calendars and saying like this is when we're going to shoot this. This is when we're going to be editing it. This is when we're doing all the post production stuff. And this is when it's going to the network.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think the goal was for Hallmark, they always wanted to air it in August.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit more time than I thought because I didn't know if we at first I wasn't sure if we were gonna have to it was gonna air in July and we had to get it before that, but luckily we got August and the movie looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. Our DP, his name is Lars Lindstrom, and the locations like the dairy farm and like the everything looks so green and so lush. It's beautiful to look at. It's a beautiful movie to look at.
So I relate to this movie in three ways. Let's start in the city. I'm a city girl, but I'm in Philly. So I'm close to New York.
Nice.
I'm like New York's little cousin, so I'm close
Oh, I
there.
love that. My
And
favorite cousins are in Philadelphia. So
oh, I'm glad. That's really cool. So number two, I've been to Dairy Farm many times. My roommate, who was my best friend in college, we were like yin and yang in every sense of the word. I was loud and boisterous, and she was not. And so, but she was like, "We're best friends. Come home and meet my family." I was like, "Okay." She's on a dairy farm. I had no idea. She grew up on a dairy farm. And
wow.
it was like a culture clash for sure. For sure. Milked a cow for the first time. Like it was a whole experience. But I digress. And the third thing that how I relate to this movie, my theme for this summer, Brian, like not even like I've been going out for ice cream in unprecedented ways. Like I have never had a hankering for ice cream as much as I have this summer. Last year it was lemons. This summer it's ice cream. Like my dad, my sister, and I have gone out for ice cream spontaneously so many times, and I'm trying like different flavors and things like that. So when I saw this movie was coming out, I was like, so this is basically confirming that what I've been doing has been okay with all of my ice cream eating and all
Tis
of
the
that.
season,
Yes,
like, it
yes.
really is. I remember we in Christmas Land, one of the characters had an ice cream shop, and we were like, "Wait, who's eating ice cream during the winter?" Like someone was like, "Let's think this through. Ice cream and summer go together,
Go
hand in hand."
together. Yes.
And
I will say I'm an all seasons ice cream eater. I'm not gonna hold you there, especially like the apple pie with the ice cream, and
mm,
that's my jam. That's my
I'm
jam
always
all
one of those
day.
people that likes to eat like cold things in the cold or. No, I don't like to eat hot things in hot weather. Like I hate like I wouldn't want to go. It's like 100 degrees here in Los Angeles right now, and like I wouldn't want to go drink a hot coffee,
Yeah,
right now.
that's
But
fair.
but
That,
cold and cold
yeah,
go great together.
yeah. So, Brian, what would you say to someone who maybe doesn't have any film experience yet, but after hearing this, they're like, you know what? I think that, like, maybe in the different jobs that I have had in the past or I'm doing now, like, I could see how some of my skill sets could maybe translate into that role. Like, what would you say for them to get their foot in the door to start producing?
Get on sets, get on a set, whether you're PAing. I always wonder, I used to wonder, like, maybe I should have gone to a film school, but being in theater, like, really taught me the nuts and bolts of work, of drive and the managerial aspect of it, and the timing of it. Um, it's definitely producing is not for everybody. You definitely have to have like I always tell people you have to have like that initiative inside you. Like, it's not one of these places where you can go and like, okay, I'm done with my job. What's next? You got to figure that out. You got to find. There's always something to do. So you kind of have to just dive into it and figure it out. Going back to like with film school, I didn't go to film school, but when I started working in production, I started learning what everybody did. Like I learned how crews work, how movies are put together, and it was a very fast education, but actually experiencing it, I think, was better than anything I could have learned in school about it. Like being able to experience. So I always tell people if you want to work in production, just get on set in some capacity, whether you're an office PA, whether you're on the set PA, like just that would be number one. Just get on set and see how sets move, and then always have that initiative, the the incentive to always want to find what's next to do. Like find like
Mm.
keep yourself busy, you know. And it's amazing how much you'll learn in such a short amount of time if it's a good fit and it works for you, you know. I love it. Like I said, I already went on and on about this, but I love being a part of something. I love being a part of something from the beginning until the end, and that's the coolest part about my job. When I was an actor, you kind of come in for X amount of time, you know, and then you're gone from the project, and you know, then you'll see it and like, oh great. From producing, you know, I'm with this movie from the very beginning until the bitter end. No, okay, from the very end with this movie, you know, and you know, usually at that point you're able to like enjoy it. Like we had a screening for Double Scoop a couple weeks ago, and it was so nice to enjoy it, you know.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, Brian, I want to thank you so much for coming into the home of Dear Hallmark. But before I let you go and give you your Tupperware so you can grab some food on the way out, I just want to give you the floor. I do this with all of my guests. Whatever you want to say in this moment, you can talk about ice cream, your favorite musical, Hamilton, anything you want to talk about in this moment. It's your moment to have, so I'm gonna let you have
I'm gonna
this
sing a
one
number for
here.
my new cabaret album. No, I'm kidding. I
Come
don't.
on,
Oh,
listen. I want to vibe.
but I totally forgot. I keep forgetting this, but I'm in Double Scoop too. I have a cameo in Double Scoop. I play a singer, and
All right
there's
now.
there's a dance scene at the end at the Darlington Dairy Festival, and our amazing leads Taylor Cole and Ryan McPartlin are dancing, and I'm the singer at the hoedown there at the dairy festival.
I know that's
So I
right.
forgot about that. I forgot about that. Like I when I was the screening, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm in this movie. Because literally, when you're like living in the production aspect, like you're just thinking about
Right.
so many different things, you know.
Right. Yes.
And Peter, our amazing director, was so nice to ask if I wanted to play his part. I'm like, yes, I do, you know. And going back to kind of what we were talking about before, being like, I wish I knew everything I knew now back when I was an actor because I would have been less insecure. I would have been less, I would
Mm.
like, you know, now that I know how movies are made and I know, you know, what people want and I know that everyone's rooting for you there, it's a different story. So when I do get to act now, it's very freeing, you know, there's not a lot of things
Mm.
tied to it, you know, because like it doesn't define my existence, you
Yeah.
know, completely, you know, it's what defines my existence and fulfills me the most is the creation from the beginning till the end and making this all come together. So yeah, sorry, I just went on
Yeah.
another tangent.
No, because now I got so much more questions. I'm like, dang, well, I can't keep him here for another hour. So, no, because
Sure, why not?
I find that so fascinating because I've talked with different actors, especially last year. Like, I feel like that was a theme of just confidence and security and assurance in oneself and like knowing who you are. Like, was that something that you like? How did you grapple with that insecurity during your theater time? Like, well,
You
how did
know,
do you feel like you ever dealt like overcame it?
I feel like I overcame it. I feel like I had moments of brilliance, you know, for sure.
Yeah,
And I also think too, like just getting older, sometimes you
yeah,
know, age is wisdom, you know,
yeah,
and you know,
absolutely.
I used to get so in my head about what people uh like, especially from a performing aspect, like what people are thinking or what
Yeah.
people, you know, and what's kind of like I kind of tried to become the most well-rounded actor I could before I moved to Los Angeles. And then when you come here, people only see you for one. Once they get to know you, they only see you as that, and that's where you kind of get like labeled, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
pigeonholed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always tough. But you know, I think if I was in the skin I am now back then, I would have handled it all very differently, for sure. But there's no regrets about it. Like
Yeah.
everything finds its way, and like I said, like once I got into producing, I felt like this is something I'm really good at. Like,
Yeah.
and I had that confidence. Even sometimes, like depending on the size of our movie or bigger movies, it's like you get that imposter syndrome. Like, am I really
Yeah.
qualified to do this? And then I remember,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. I really feel that way. Whereas an actor sometimes will be like, I think this is over my head. I don't know if this might be a little, little too much. But that said, though, I feel like my acting world and my producing world will it already has kind of come full circle, and I think it will, the rest of my life. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So it's never a dull moment. Never, ever.
Yeah. Well, this is my second close, y'all. I'm sorry. I
No, it's
Cuz
okay. Like
I
I go off on tangents. I am
No,
so sorry.
I love it. I call it Tangent City here. Like I genuinely enjoy it. I really do. I really do. But yeah, y'all, if you haven't already, be sure to watch Double Scoop. It's coming on 8 p.m. on Saturday, Hallmark Channel. Next day on Hallmark Plus.
Hallmark Plus.
Yes.
I love that. I have Hallmark Plus now, so I'm excited about that.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and it's a great cast too, by the way. I didn't give enough credit to like our cast. Like I love Taylor Cole. This is our second movie with her. We became friends on My Summer Prince.
Oh
Um,
yes.
and we did that in Park City, and it was one of the best movie experiences I ever had was working
Oh.
on that production. It was just a great cast, great vibe. We were all at this resort in Park City, and it was just like in April, May of 2016. And it was just a good time. Um, Taylor Cole and then Ryan McPartlin, who is great. He's such a dreamboat and such a cool guy. Patrick Muldoon and Elisa Donovan, from Clueless,
Yes. I
Amber from
know.
Clueless, are in it as well as our friend Jacqueline. So it's a fantastic cast, and just they really, along with like the beautiful cinematography and with the beautiful setting, and it's a really cute, well acted, fun story. There's some nice little things in there that are not all they're a little out of the box, I think, for Hallmark. So it's good. It'll be a nice change of pace.
Listen, if you ain't watched this movie by now, if you don't want to watch this movie by now, you ain't got a heart. I'm gonna just say it. You're cold inside, and I need spring to come to Narnia. That's pretty much what it is. So, Brian, thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure
Thank you. I'm
talking
so
with
honored.
you. Been a pleasure. So, y'all, my name is Dara. He's Brian, and this is Dear Hallmark. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Ciao, my friends.
Bye.